calling the meeting of the Fulton County Board of Registration Elections meeting to order. The rules for this meeting are cell phones are to be turned off prior to the meeting. That goes for both the board and for the public. Citizens are allowed to voice requests, concerns, opinions during the communication and public response portion of the meeting. Before speaking, each participant must obtain a speaker's card. I have a couple of speaker cards here. Each speaker is granted up to 2 minutes, each for a total of up to 60 minutes per meeting, but each speaker, 2 minutes. Can I get a motion for approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda as is.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It's approved. We're moving to the communications and public comment section, and I have a card from Mr. Ralph O'Connor. Mr. O'Connor, would you please approach the podium?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ralph O'Connor. I'm a Fulton County voter. I've been an election day poll clerk for over 3 years. You probably know Fulton County poll workers participate in at least one 4-hour training course each year, including hands-on practice with poll pads and voting machine hardware. We are given a 169-page poll worker manual after we pass the multiple choice test. My recommendation is the board consider having new board members participate in the poll worker training so they can see the steps Fulton County takes to ensure secure and fair elections. I assume most of you are aware that voters can ask for a do-over. Most of my friends and family are not aware of that. In training, we practice canceling check-in of voters that ask for a do-over if they have not printed a ballot, and spoiling the ballot if they already have a paper ballot in hand. In either case, the manager puts a code in the poll pad so we can regenerate the voting card and the voter gets a do-over. I also recommend that the county inform voters somehow if they have an absentee ballot that they have not mailed back and they decide to vote in person, please bring that to your polling place. You cannot cast the ballot, but they can surrender it and it gets voided. Manager puts a code in. If they do not bring it to the ballot voting place, the poll manager has to call here and verify that they have not voted already by mail.
15
Sometimes
seconds.
that takes 30 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next person is Maria Gaudio.
Good morning. Another day, another public service announcement. I would like to thank everybody who has called the 833-FRAUD-11 hotline. There has been such an overwhelming response throughout the country of people who work for election boards and who are working at polls, that they had the FBI in conjunction with Department of Homeland Security and the U.S. Attorney's Office have formed the Voter Integrity Task Force with a new hotline number, and that is 888-636-6595. It is primarily targeting voter rolls. If you have seen illegal or uneligible voters and they are prosecuting election crimes, if you see something, say something, make that call. They are implementing the President's March 25th, 2025 executive order concerning elections. If you were asked to do something questionable or uncomfortable, make that call. If you have been asked to change or omit information from reports, make that call. If you have any knowledge of payments, tampering of evidence that includes reports or the machines, make that call. Any withholding of evidence, such as voter lists, make that call. If you have witnessed or know about any after-hours activities, make that call. Again, the new number is 888-636-6595. 6595 for the U.S. Attorney's Office, who is now taking over. Thank you.
Thank you. Now turning to old business, approval of the April 10, 2025 BRE minutes. Can I get a motion for approval of the April 10, 2025 minutes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of April 10th.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The minutes are approved. Turning to the monthly operations report, Director Williams.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and members of the board.
Good morning.
The operations report was forwarded to the board for review, so we will take questions in regards to that. Just for a brief summary, we have been diligently working on preparing for the June election. We were asked by the city of Palmetto to conduct the municipal election, but that we need to also include the Coweta County voters. So we will be handling that process. It's roughly 300 or so voters that we will process for Coweta County. All those voters will report to Palmetto City Hall for the municipal race, but Coweta County will hold the Public Service Commission race for Coweta County voters. For over 30 years, the city of Palmetto voters were used to going to two different places because they've always done their own elections. But for this election, the Coweta County voters will go to two places, Fulton County voters will go to one. So we'll continue that information. But nevertheless, just want to give you a summary on that. Outside of that, I think we're well prepared, and we'll take any questions regarding the operations report.
First of all, I'm a little confused about that. So because of the locations, we're absorbing 300 or so voters from Coweta? That seems...
So for the past 30 years, the city of Palmetto has always conducted their own municipal election. They have decided now to ask the county to conduct their municipal election. Coweta County was not available to conduct their election because they had already already prepared for their election. So we are going to absorb the Coweta County voters. And why that is because the city of Palmetto lies within two counties. There's parts of it are in Fulton, parts of it are in Coweta. So how we will do that is to have the 300 voters that are in Coweta in our poll pad, and we'll be able to process them, but only for the municipal election portion, not for the Public Service Commission election.
Okay.
And I'll send you that in more detail.
Was Palmetto doing that when they were doing it on their own? Were
Yes.
they in an agreement doing that
Yes.
prior? Okay.
So for 30 years, city of Palmetto voters are used to going two different places if there's a municipal and a county election at the same time. They would report to their election, whatever the two locations are, they would report to whatever they were in Coweta, wherever they were in Fulton, and for the municipal portion, they would report to Palmetto City Hall to vote. They'll still be reported to Palmetto City Hall for those particular voters that are for the municipal election.
Okay.
Yeah, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
It's kind of confusing, but I do have a couple of questions.
I agree. I guess what I'm talking about, it's very confusing, but the point is that Palmetto had been doing it
Yeah, they have been
for
doing
Coweta County. And so they're
Exactly.
asking us to do it.
Exactly. They have been doing it themselves for both county voters for their municipals. They're just asking us to do it instead of them. To make a long story short. Thank you.
Any other question on that?
No.
Yes, Ms. Williams, how do we come up with the cost or the charge per voter, or how is that calculated? Or what is, I assume that we're getting compensated.
Are you referring to City of Palmetto?
Yes.
Okay, so because we're conducting a county election, there's no cost to the City of Palmetto. They're not going to really cost us any additional money. The only change we had to really make was to change our polling location on election day from Palmetto Library to Palmetto City Hall. Because before, the City of Palmetto voters on their precinct card, it had municipal, you go to Palmetto Library. No, from municipal, you go to Palmetto City Hall. For the county, you go to Palmetto Library. Now we're just going to make it convenient for them and go to one location because we're doing an election. Coweta counties have still go to two different ones. But to answer your question, there is no additional cost. There's a little bit extra work for our staff, but we're fine, and we're going to just relocate. But we have not charged them, if that's the question.
Thanks. Yeah.
Now, if there's a runoff and there's no statewide runoff, there will be a cost.
Okay.
So, but we'll get back to that. And I have not
If that
determined that
happens.
cost, yes.
Okay.
Member Adams, you had another question for the operations report?
Absolutely. Thank you.
And why don't we do this, take them one at a time, because there may be other, and then I'll just keep coming back to you if you have several.
Okay. It's all around the same thing. I understand we're going to have less polling locations for precinct locations for the PSC race. Have we notified all of the voters of the difference?
No, they have not received the cards yet. Those cards should be anticipated to be mailed. Ms. Glenn, do you know a particular date?
The cards were ordered May 2nd, so I'm just waiting to see when Knowing will provide the data listing, and as soon as I give them the okay, they will mail them. But they have to provide the listing first for me to verify that the data is good, and then we will authorize them to print and mail.
Okay. And so I was concerned with, do you have an idea that, I want to just make sure that those voters know. This is such a low turnout race, and, well, anytime we want people to be able to vote, so.
My voter page is already updated with the changes. The cards have to be mailed out by May 17th. But like I said, I ordered them on May 2nd. I am waiting for the data list to verify, and then they will be, we will give the authorization for the printer to go ahead and mail the cards.
Okay.
And may I add to that? I'm sorry.
I'd like to add to that.
Just for an FYI, so we are required to put out signage to let people, they will get cards in the mail required by code before the deadline. And we're also required to put signage at each location to advise people that there has been a change. Since we do anticipate this very low turnout, we will take those same signs and put them out again for November. We're not required to put them out for November, but we will, because we figure most people will not be coming out for this particular June election.
I have the same concern that Member Adams has. And could you make sure, Ms. Glenn, that you let us know when everything is ready, when the cards are going out? Because that's been my biggest concern too, that you want to make sure that voters have adequate notice and they're not scrambling. And I know that there will always still be some people who say they didn't get notice, but we want to make sure that we've covered everything that we can do as soon as we can to make sure that electors in Fulton County can vote and are aware of the change.
Can I ask? So, yeah. It's the same subject matter. Yeah. So we're doing the less number of precincts throughout the whole year, but it's just this year, and then it goes back to.
Some of the changes that we made will be permanent. We looked at the voter turnout for advanced voting versus election day. And of course, the November election was the highest impact, highest voter turnout we've had, I think, in history. So we looked at that to see what that turnout was and realized some of the changes can remain. So right now, the numbers would be 140.
Okay.
By November, it will go back up to 149 for some of the ones that we plan to relocate. And unless there's another change, it will probably remain at 149.
Going forward.
Going forward.
Okay.
And if we see any changes, we'll adjust, but no.
And did I know we had talked about before the different precinct numbers within a precinct, the combined precincts. Have we gotten rid of some of those numbers that had the 0 votes or the
Yes,
1?
we have. Our registrar went through the ones that could possibly be merged with they have that same combo, which means they had the same, same congressional, state, house, exec, et cetera. If it was possible, we merged them in. So I think there'll be like 5 that are now 0 precincts that they don't have a match, so they have to stay that way. Because it's a lot of land that still has to have a precinct assigned to it.
Right.
It doesn't match anything else. But it
So
does exist.
we were at 476, I think, before. What has that gone down to?
Does anybody know the number?
Okay.
I didn't count them, but I will send you an updated list.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Heaton, do you have a question?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Ms. Williams, at the last operations report, I asked about death threats to poll workers and election department personnel, and you advised that they were referred to the police. Which police department?
Fulton County?
Okay. Have we heard back anything yet?
No. I sent you the quantities of emails that we received. I'm not able to disclose those to you, but I did email the board how many voicemails and how many emails were sent to Fulton County Police Department, and I advised the board to reach out to the Fulton County Police Department if they're willing to release information to you. But that's the email that you received.
Were any of those offending emails from board members?
I would hope not.
Okay, thanks.
From board members.
Any further questions regarding the operations report? Hearing nothing further regarding operations, then we will move to number 5 on the agenda, challenge hearings. And the challenge hearings are coming from the department.
Madam Chair, we do have some individuals in the
That are here?
audience. Yes.
I'm aware of that, but that is what's on our agenda first. I mean, our 5th part, and I was going to ask about who was here for the challenge hearing, but that's where we're moving to. Do you have the names of those who are here? Okay. And how many in the audience are here for the challenge hearing? 3? Okay. What I would like to do is just take a brief recess, and Ms. Bodison, would you mind getting the names of who are here for the challenge hearing? We don't really need a recess. We can just wait a minute while we get the names. Okay. Back on the record, ready to proceed. We have 3 electors who have responded to the letters that they received from the Fulton County's Department of Registrations and Elections. Maria Williamson, Abdul Manon, and Keisha Harris. Is that correct? Okay. How we'll proceed is first we will have the department provide their position regarding the challenge, and then we will proceed individually with each of you. Is that okay? Ms. Glenn, would you proceed on behalf of the department?
Yes, good
With
morning.
regard to these three first,
Yes,
and then we
yes.
can handle the rest.
Madam Chair, members of the board, the Department of Registration and Elections, in continuation of auditing the voter roll with the assistance of our GIS department, we have challenged over 2,000 voters with invalid addresses. These range from post office boxes to UPS store boxes to street addresses that don't exist.
Just a moment. All phones are to be turned off. Just a second. Okay.
Okay. We have before you today 23 of these challenges, with the remaining having a hearing date set for June 17th. Challenge hearing notice letters were mailed to the challenge electors before you today on April 15th and April 17th, advising of the hearing to be held May 8th at 11 a.m. I have prepared a spreadsheet with the pertinent information for your review, and I have attached a sample letter and informational insert sent to each elector. You want me to go alphabetically, or you're going to call who?
No, ma'am. We're going to, first I'm going to say what the law is.
Okay.
And was the law with regard from the States My Voter page with regard to invalid addresses, was that contained in the letter that went to the electors?
Yes.
Okay. And the law for invalid addresses, because my understanding is that these are all invalid address challenges. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. The law for invalid addresses, and I'm just reading straight from the Fulton Votes Integrity, Security, Efficiency, and that what is contained on the Secretary of State's website. For an invalid address, if your current address is incorrect, you may visit the My Voter page website to update your address. The acceptable documents to serve as proof of residency dated within the last 6 months are a utility bill, a Georgia ID or driver's license, household information, lease, a tax bill, or motor vehicle information. That is what the criteria is for what documents are to be provided if there is an invalid address and you are maintaining that this is the address. What we have as an invalid address is your actual residential address. Is that correct? Have I received the law correctly?
It's correct, except for the ID can have that USPS address on there. It is not valid.
I'm just reading what I understand. What
Okay.
I understand what you're saying. You're saying that USPS, if UPS is the address on the license, that is not considered valid under the law. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. And so I was reading that for those who are here to challenge, so you understand what criteria is required if it's an invalid address. And you can still speak to that even if you don't have these documents with you today. Or if you have these documents to support the address, then while you're still here, perhaps that can be cleared up with the department.
Yes.
So I'm going to call Miss Williamson. Would you like to be heard? Thank you. Approach the podium.
I have lived at the address that I am currently living at for approximately 35 years.
Okay.
I have been a registered voter for 35 years. I am a notary in the state, in Fulton County, with that address. I'm being challenged because it is not a residential address. And it is not a residential address. It is my business, and I live there. And I cannot be disenfranchised because I'm not a suburban housewife.
Thank you, Ms. Williamson. I will note that with regard to the letter that went to Ms. Williamson, there was not on the letter that went to Ms. Williamson an indication as to the reason that she was challenged. It said invalid residential business address. You are stating that is in fact your...
That is my physical address and has been my physical address for 35
Do you receive at that address utility bills at that address?
I do not receive utility bills because I don't pay the utility bills.
Okay.
I have a valid passport, I have a valid driver's license. Again, I'm a notary within the county of Fulton County.
Okay.
Do you have a driver's license? Is that,
Yes, of course.
is that address, same as the
It is
address?
indeed.
Okay.
And that is one of the things, one of the criteria is your Georgia driver's license states it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have any other address.
Thank you, Ms. Williamson. Any other questions for Ms. Williams?
I have a question. It's not really for you, maybe more for the attorneys. Does zoning matter on that? I mean, can you claim a residence in a commercial? And I don't know if that's the situation.
I'm in a work and living work zone
And-
area, so
Oh,
that wouldn't be relevant.
And Ms. Williams, she's asking the question to the legal team here. So if you can hold just a minute.
I have not identified any laws that make discrepancies within the zoning realm as it pertains to residency.
Okay. Thank you.
We didn't hear it.
So I have not identified any laws that makes those distinctions within zoning as it regards to residency.
And I can state, I know that in many cities have a live, work, play zoning kind of criteria, so you can live there, you can have a business there. I'm just saying that from my experience in my own city.
May I chime in, please? Okay, so your address most likely came up because when our GIS department did the zoning, it did come up as a business. I believe there is a way to so we have a lot of people that do live at their work address.
I do.
I believe there's a form that can be signed. Our registrar could advise how do we.
I was told I had to turn down.
Right.
But
So
one minute, then, instead of handling it during, can you stay until, this is the last matter on our agenda?
Sure.
And then it can be resolved with the registrar here as opposed to stopping and then resolving yours, and then we can hear the other two as well? Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Williamson, and thank you for coming down.
It can be resolved if the board says it is okay. We can have her sign a residency affirmation form stating that this truly is her residence, even though she doesn't have all the other documentation that we accept to validate that it's her where she lives.
But she does have her driver's license that has her address on it.
right, it's an affirmation form that the SOS has that she can fill out and to say, yes, this is my business and this is my residence. And if the board agrees, she can resolve it and then she can be removed from the challenge.
Ms. Adams.
I don't know who to ask this question to, but from what I understand, from what the chairman read before, she could have, prior to this, gone to my voter page. No? Because it would have still
Because it
shown up
is
as
still a
business.
commercial address,
Right.
her address is going to stay the same. She has to come and get approval by the board
Correct.
to,
Okay.
not be in challenge status using a commercial address as her residence.
That makes
All right.
sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay?
Excuse me. Then I propose that we take care of this right now. If she brings up her driver's license and Mrs. Williams.
Well, when you say right now,
Yeah.
I think we can do the vote right now, but we should hear the other two people who are here too. But we can do the vote as to whether or not
Okay.
it
All right.
comes to the board. But I want to ask legal how that is handled because I'm asking the legal team, do we do the vote and then you have the attestation form?
I need to go and
Okay.
print.
So we would still have to wait to do it. Okay, but we can vote during the meeting and then do it thereafter. Okay, and then if you do not mind, if you could check to make sure, since we know that we have more of these coming, that that is the proper way for all of this to happen and be done. Okay. Can I hear a motion with regard to Ms. Williamson?
I'd like to make a motion that Maria Williamson is taken off of the challenge list, and after she fills out the information and the paper, and signs off
On the attestation form?
on the, yes, sorry.
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It's unanimous. Ms. Williams, just hang tight. We'll handle it. Just a minute. The next person, Abdul Manin. Okay. And what, from what I understand, is Mr. Manin asked to be on the challenge hearing. We did not receive anything from Mr. Manin. But I do want to hear from the department. Then, if we don't have it in our packet, just a second, Mr. Manin. What is the situation with Mr. Manning's registration?
Mr. Manning lives at a commercial warehouse, and he has a similar situation
as Ms. Williamson.
No documentation, no utility bills, that kind of thing. But he has authorization to live at the warehouse.
And he asked to be placed on the challenge hearing?
Moved from the June 17th, which is election day. He wanted to come in and
have it resolved
and
earlier.
have it resolved early.
Okay. Mr. Manning, you were present when I read the documentation that is required. Do you have, as proof of residency, do you have any of that?
I have plenty.
Okay, so you have.
I don't have electrical bill just like she does because I don't pay the electrical bill.
Okay.
But
what do you have?
I do have an ID, and I have all kinds of things that will show you from the IRS to Social
Tax
Security.
matters, that's on the list. Okay. So can we get, I think you're in a similarly situated situation as Ms. Williamson. Can we get a motion with regard to Mr. Manning? And did you bring that documentation today?
I do.
Okay. And do you mind waiting, like Ms. Williamson is waiting afterwards? Okay. Can we get a motion with regard to Mr. Manning?
I'd like
Oh,
to.
wait, there's a question on the
No,
floor.
I was going to make a motion.
Oh, okay.
To take Mr. Manning off the challenged list.
Oh, second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Mr. Manning, you're removed from the challenge hearing list, and if you hang tight, Ms. Glenn from the department, the manager will handle that with you like she is Ms. Williams. And it may be a few minutes. She's got to print everything off and make sure she can get it to you, but we'll take care of it today. Thank you for coming. Keisha Harris. Ms. Harris, were you present when I read what the criteria is for residency? Okay. Do you have any of that documentation?
Yes, I do.
We can't hear you. Have.
What like I said, I was in the process of during the voting time. I was in the process, during the time of the voting. I was in the process of moving from my brother. I was practically homeless. I was in the process in between addresses. I was using my P.O. box. That was on my driver's license. I have here my address of residence.
You've since moved
Yes.
in Fulton County?
Fulton County?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was practically home. I was in the process of moving in between addresses, and I was using my P.O. box as my way of getting around.
And you want to correct that information today?
Yes, that's why I have my driver's license. Okay. My updated driver's license.
Do you have, so what you have documents today that
Yes.
support your residency address?
Yes.
But the department hasn't had a chance to see it yet?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So we need to see a copy of it to verify that it is a residential address. And then we just need to update her record by having her fill out a
registration form. But I think first we need to remove her from the challenge, and then you can.
Not until we verify.
Okay. Well, then we are not verifying until after we've done the rest of the challenge hearing. So you're saying that you cannot.
How are you going to vote?
We can't vote until she verifies it. Ms. Quinn
Okay, so then,
verifies
okay,
it's
so then
resident.
can I get a motion so we can have a recess, so Ms. Glenn can take the time to verify with Ms. Harris, and then we can reconvene. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Chair votes aye. We're in recess. Can you come back so we can? Yes, thank you. I don't know why she went back to do it. Okay, can I get a motion to reconvene? Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're back on the record. Can the department manager return so we can continue on with the hearing? And my apologies, Ms. Glenn, you're the registration chief. So have we had a chance to verify that Ms. Keisha Harris's address that she has provided to us is a residential address?
Yes.
Okay. So can I get a motion to remove Ms. Keisha Harris from the challenge hearing list?
I move that we remove Ms. Harris from the challenge.
Can I get a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it's unanimous. Now, Chief Quinn, can we move to the rest of the challenge hearing.
Jeffrey Bryan, registered January 15th, 2019. Last participation, October 18th, 2024. He is registered at a business address, XTC, Atlanta, and Adult Entertainment Club.
And there's a note that you've had contact with that voter, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and what did the contact of the vote with the voter state? What do you have to say about the contact with the voter?
He said that is his residence.
Did the voter provide more information about that?
No.
Okay. The next one.
The next one is Charles Casey, registered October 5th, 2016. Last participation, 12/29/2020, is registered at the United States Postal Service, UPS, appeal box.
Yes, continue.
James Cottrell, registered May 21st, 2024. Last participation, November 5th, 2024, at USPS address.
Okay, the next one.
Burdell Hill, registered April 12th, 2023. Last participation, October 25th, 2024, United States Postal Service.
Okay, and Ms. Burdell, is that, let's see, next one. Manny Hughes, registered July 28th, 2015. Last participation, December 26th, 2020, at USPS. Okay, on my list it says invalid, and you're saying USPS?
Yes.
Okay, did his letter say USPS? That was the reason that he was being challenged? Or did it say invalid?
They all say invalid residential slash
This one
business.
doesn't have the USPS behind it.
Okay, and I believe I spoke with you as to whether that was sufficient notice and opportunity to be heard, and was that in compliance with Georgia law? And I would like legal to weigh in on what the requirements are when we send a challenge letter.
Generally, when you send a challenge letter, you just need to state clearly what the challenge reasons are. So you want to state something more than just, in my opinion, more than just invalid address.
More specificity and particularity.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I can tell you before we go down the rest of it, on the voters that received letters where it just says invalid and doesn't say USPS or doesn't say UPS or say commercial residence or the reason, I believe that they should have letters resent to them with specificity as to why they're being challenged so that they can have a reasonable notice and opportunity to be heard. I think that's the least that Fulton County should do with regard to procedural due process. Ms. Adams.
Did you say that you sent 2 notices to all these people? I think two notices. I mean, some of them say USPS, but some of them say invalid residential business address, and they've gotten 2 notifications of it. I think that's more than sufficient.
My position still stands, and I believe that the first letter, this is the second letter that went out, but it's not what went out before. So they have received different letters from Fulton County. The first one was not sufficient, so then they were asked to send it out, a letter with more specificity. And if they have not put that down, I think that if we are putting voters at risk of not being able to vote in Fulton County, that is incumbent upon us to at least make sure that we have given them what the law requires for us to state and for it to be particular and specific enough to them. And there are, I think, 6 of those. Yes, ma'am.
I agree. I think that the invalid address is not enough information for them to know why they're being challenged. And I just think it's incumbent upon us to say it's because you have a UPS box or, residential address. Let them take it from there. So if there's just 6 to do, I would say let's redo them. But in moving forward, that we.
Ms. Quinn?
I know.
Please, thank you.
No, I know we put information in, but not everybody reads it, unfortunately.
May I chime in on that?
Yes, my position will stay the same, but yes, you can chime in.
Okay, so we have sent letters twice. Inside, included in the letter is a brochure that said what invalid means. It breaks down every category that tells them exactly what invalid means. It gives us our information to call us, to email us. All that's included in the letter. So it is cost. We have sent out, 2,000 letters? Are we asking to send that out again? So, but again, I don't know if you want to pass the brochure down so this board can see exactly.
We have the brochure. I think that when Fulton County is sending out the letters to voters, the fact that it is a cost, we need to make sure it is accurate the first time. If we have not, I think that if it just said invalid, and some voters, it's the disparate treatment of voters. Some voters' addresses said USPS, some said UPS, some said nothing. These voters individually, let's say they have to end up going to court, or if the law changes and they go before a board, they should individually, we have to make our record, and our record should be clear as to that we in Fulton County, that we follow what the law requires.
And we did, okay.
Anything further?
Satisfied the law. So, you know, I think if somebody lives in a commercial place or they're using a mailbox, they know if they read this why they're being challenged. So I disagree with you. I think these need to be removed.
How hard is it to add on to the invalid residential address? How hard is it to add on?
May I chime in on that?
Just let her finish her question.
How hard is it? Is that information readily available to you when you pull up the name on Garvis as to why it's out invalid?
No. These letters are not coming from Jarvis at all. These are letters that we are creating through Word.
You're asking them to personalize each and every letter. Again, invalid address, it's outlined here.
I've stated what my position is. I think that voting is personal, that the person has to come to vote, and we're kicking them off personally because we are, then we need to make sure that we have complied with everything. And it is these six. It is six. And if we can do it we've done that in the other letters, I haven't heard any rationale as to why we didn't do it for those, but if it just says invalid address, and in other voters, we have stated the reason. We have said commercial address when we said invalid address, but we have not done that for those 6 voters.
Whatever the
And
board
what would be helpful,
instructs me to do,
I
will
can tell you
do
what would be
that.
helpful.
But the invalid address was used when the address there is no valid address that they provided. It's an invalid address. So we're going to use going forward when it comes up that this is an address that does not exist.
If that is what the case is.
This address does not exist.
If it doesn't exist, then it does. That's what you say. I agree.
If that's the board, if that's what you want us to do.
We can take it to a vote. That's my position.
Okay.
So can I clarify, the 6 that we just went over are separate, we're going to talk about them separate than all the other ones, is that correct? Or are they all the same?
No, they're not all the same. The only reason why I brought that out is because she was going down the list, and so I was just trying to shortcut and say we have 6 people on here that it says invalid only. The rest all have proper, in my opinion, proper notice and procedural due process. That they see that it's invalid because you're at UPS, it's invalid because you're at USPS, it's invalid because you have a commercial address.
Okay.
Everybody else has that there. There's no, I'm not saying anything about that.
Okay. So are we going to continue down the list with Ms. Glenn telling us on each one? Or do you want to separate these 6 out?
What is the pleasure of the chief?
Okay,
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that these 6 that we've just discussed, that we do remove them from the voter list.
Second.
Can you clarify remove? What do you
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, clarify. You mean just from
You're
this
gonna
list?
either sustain the challenge. No, we don't put them in active status because they are active. We keep them in,
We're voting to move them to inactive status.
you're,
or take
no.
them-
no, okay, wait, let the chief tell us what we're voting for.
You're voting to sustain this challenge, that they are challenged voters, so that when they show up to vote, they have to prove that they are residents. We don't move them to inactive unless they are not participating or updating their information. I can't remove them unless they sign asking me to remove them, or they go through 2 general elections in inactive status, not participating.
Okay,
I'd like to restate my motion. I would like to take these 6 and put them in challenged status for having invalid addresses.
well, let me ask you this. Are we talking, make sure I understand what we're talking about. Jeffrey Bryan, Charles Casey, James Cottrell,
All of these people can come in and vote, but they have to cure the fact that they have an invalid.
that is what the chief is saying. Had you gone to Burdell Hill or you had not? Because we know that Ms. Harris is off.
We were at Manny Hughes. I
Okay.
thought.
So it's 5. It's 5.
No.
It's 5, because Ms. Harris came in.
So Jeffrey, Charles, James, Burdell, and Manny.
Mhm.
Okay.
And that's where we got to an invalid residential address, and that's when
That's
the
me.
chair wanted to.
Hughes is my only concern, right, not the rest.
Well,
No.
but these are the ones that you said the letters were different.
No, that's, okay.
Oh.
Hughes has USPS on the letter. Not Hughes. You mean Jackson?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And we hadn't gotten there yet.
That's where, that was my next.
And it's hard
I
to see.
had just done Hughes.
Okay.
And then you stopped me with Kashawn, which has the invalid,
Okay.
without the explanation.
So we're doing the first 5. Okay, and that's what your motion is for the first 5?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, now we're at Jones.
We're at Kashawn, and you're saying
Jackson.
just take her off, take her off or him off?
Well,
Or we're gonna,
my
since
position is
it
that
only says invalid residential.
I'll give my position and the rest of the board can speak as well. I'm only one vote. Kashawn Jackson, Aaliyah Jones, if I'm correct. And it's hard to read across. So the invalid, can you tell me the invalid that we have? It might be easier for you to tell me the names of the invalid. Who have invalid address but did not have other specificity.
Yasmin Jones. What about Malik here? What does Malik have? Malik Mana Luloa, Travis Malloy, Kawanda Mapp, it appears everyone else has.
Okay, so it's just
And
5.
then, well, Miss Williamson, but
She's, yes, that's,
and Willis. Okay.
Willis is the last one, so 6, right?
And my objection is only to 6.
So start at the next one, which is Aaliyah Jones, registered 9/12/2024. Last participation 11/2/24. USPS. Mr. Manning is signing up. Let's map. Leon Moore Jr., registered 2/20/2019. Last participation 10/31/24. USPS. Kamathi Olinja, registered 4/24/2012. Last participation 11/1/2024. USPS. Deborah Olokunboy, registered 8/21/2017. Last participation October 23rd, 2024. USPS. Rudolph Schlosser, registered 8/30/2023. Last participation none. USPS.
What does the DDS update stand for?
They go get their driver's license updated, and it feeds in.
Oh, okay.
So they won't go into inactive status because that's contact. So as long as we have contact, if they never vote,
Right.
they will never go inactive.
Okay. That's what I want to know. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, continue.
Terrence Slade, registered August 26, 2004. Last participation, October 30th, 2024. UPS store. Aaliyah Sharp, registered 4/19/2022. Last participation none. USPS. Lionel Smith, registered 5/16/2019. Last participation none. USPS. Dawana Tyson, registered 12/7/2010. Last participation 11/1/24. USPS. Latanya Wedlaw Chatham, registered 10/18/24. Last participation none. USPS. And then that's that. Miss Willis is an invalid residential.
Okay.
We have to.
Okay.
I would like to make sorry, make a motion that we put all of these people in the challenge list. And I want to explain, I'm sitting here listening to this. All of these people are getting these notices at a USPS or UPS store. So they're walking into a commercial place to get their mail, opening their mail with this explanation about commercial business addresses with the letter. I think it's, they know when they look at this that the address that we have for them is commercial.
For those that are getting it at a UPS or a USPS.
All of these are USPS or UPS.
We don't know what the invalid are. It doesn't state. The department might say that today, but I'm just saying when we're reviewing this, we didn't know what they are. We don't know what they are. It's not listed.
But now we know that everything we have left that we haven't voted on gets their mail from us at a USPS or UPS, a PO box, correct?
Is that your statement, Chief Glenn?
The ones with invalid address are addresses that don't exist. They're probably not getting the mail, but it's not coming back because it's an invalid, it's not an address.
So clearly we need to take them all off. My motion is we put them all in challenge.
When you say it's an address that doesn't exist, so you don't know if they're getting the mail or not, you're saying it doesn't come back. But you're saying when you have checked, you do not see any indication that that is an actual address, commercial or residence. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. So the staff was just putting invalid residential address, but it's a non-existent address.
And our letter did not say non-existent, but you're saying it didn't come back, so we don't know if they received it or not, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to second. Is the motion's not anything? Yeah, I'd like to second Ms. Adams' motion.
For everything on the list?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? And I've already given my position. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes nay. The motion passes. We do not have any personnel matters or litigation matters, and so can I get a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
I moved to adjourn or second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Chair votes aye. We're adjourned, and Ms. Williamson and Mr. Is it Mann, if they're still, okay. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, all right, thank you.